So our first feature, The Undone, is going to be released on the 14th of February, on Valentine's Day. So, happy Valentine's Day. I think it's funny. It's been crazy because so we had the Kickstarter in April of 2016. Pretty much all of, I think we shot in September, and then pretty much all of 2017 was in post-production, and I was editing it on this old computer after work. So it's like I'd have like a few hours pretty much, if that. And I wasn't working on it every day because I was still trying to balance everything else, and I wasn't really advancing anywhere. Pretty much everything suffered. It was like everything was kind of getting the bare minimum, and the movie suffered. It could have, I honestly think that we could have had it out by Halloween of 2017, but it just, it took forever. But it works out. It comes out on Valentine's, and I think that's the second best day that you can have it out, especially considering some of the themes that we're working with. When we first came up with the idea, we were like super nervous that people wouldn't get into it and that they were going to be like turned off by the whole movie being in sign language. I remember when we first talked about it, Kaylee, who would become our consultant, gave us the idea when we were trying to spitball, how can we have these characters, visually, convey that they are having, problems in the relationship. So when we started off, we thought that they were going to have like more and more space between them on the frame, like physically in the frame, have them in the beginning of the movie be together, and then towards the end be all far apart. They open in a dinner scene, and by the end of it, they're like, as far as it could be. Later on, we were still throwing more ideas, like in the narrative, have them farther and farther apart. Like they won't be in the same room, for instance, or we won't see one character for a good while. We ended up doing some of that stuff, but Kaylee gave us the idea of why don't you just do it in sign language? If it was an obvious idea, I was like, what? And we were talking about it, and then after a little while, I saw a couple videos, and I was thinking this might work, I don't know. And then Kaylee did a few of the lines in sign language, and I was like, all right, I think this will work. It'll be perfect because it's gonna be quiet. It's gonna make certain people feel a little awkward or uncomfortable, which is what we were aiming for. And it works. The opening scene is I think 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and it just kind of goes on. And if you don't get through that, then the movie's not for you. But if you get through that and you're kind of invested a little bit into what's being talked about, then I think you have an awesome movie. It's a little weird and it's a little surreal. So even if it wasn't in sign language, the movie's still pretty out there. When we had the idea, it was bizarre, and all these other movies started coming out, like Hush or A Quiet Place or Shape of Water, and I'm just what felt like people were eating our lunch, and then later now it just feels like it's just the tide of hearing different communities on film, in cinema. It's like every group that's been ignored is now getting a chance to be on screen, right? So I think we just hit a tide, by accident, and it just happens to work with our movie, So now I feel more confident about it. People are more receptive to it, just because the other movies have been so successful. You know what I mean? It's not a barrier to entry at all. What's more likely to turn you off is just the general weirdness of it. So if you like Polanski, if you like Lynch, if you recognize those names, then you're probably gonna like our movie, or at least tip the hat a little bit and be like, oh well, good job, kids. Anyways, it's gonna be on Amazon. Hopefully you guys could check it out on Valentine's Day. And if you got somebody on Valentine's Day, there's worse things that you could watch together. Hopefully you appreciate what we put into it.